knowing that somehow, in some way, there has to be an answer, but seemingly the answer is not anywhere to be found. I think we've all been there at that time and place in our walk with God. The Bible teaches us to call upon the Lord in the day of trouble. He told David, I'll be there. In the day of our calamity, God is going to be there. But I want to show you something tonight in this story. It's a great story. It encourages me. When I begin to read it, it encouraged me that I can encourage myself in the Lord. Amen. There's times, folks, and you know this, there's times that there's not very much encouragement around anymore. Hello, help me preach now. You want me to preach and get done quick, help me. There's not a whole lot of encouragement in the world anymore, even among God's people. So there comes a time in your life, in my life, that we have to just simply encourage ourselves in God. Now, David and his army of 600 men had gone off about a 3 days journey. And during this time, the Philistines invaded the southern part of the country, Ziklag being there where David was abiding at that time. And the Bible said that they came in and they burned the city, and they took the wives and the sons and the daughters of those men that were out on the battlefield, if you please. Now you get a picture with me for a moment. Here they're coming back, and all of a sudden they see the smoke arising from the city where they were going. And I imagine thoughts, terrible thoughts in their mind. What in the world is going on? What about our families? What about our sons and our daughters? What's happening down there in the city? And I'm sure, the Bible doesn't say this, but I'm sure they hastened their pace getting to go back to Ziklag. We've got to find out what's going on down there. And when they got there, they found out that the city was burned and the people were gone. Now, the Bible said that the men that were with David began to be distraught and began to think things like this. We might as well get rid of the king. He let us out here. Now we've lost everything we've got. And the Bible said they even thought about stoning him. Now, the enemy likes to put thoughts in our minds. When we're going through a battle, hang with me now, when we're going through a time of distress and distraught, and we're going through a time where we seem like we're tried on every hand, the enemy likes to put thoughts in our mind. Yes. He works on our mind. Our mind becomes an open field to the thoughts of the enemy. Now, faced with the tragedy of losing their families, David's soldiers began to turn against him and even talked about stoning him. Instead of planning a rescue, they looked for somebody to blame. Isn't it true that most every time we go through a battle, we go through a storm in life, I'm talking spiritually now, we go through those tragic moments, we're always trying to find somebody to blame. I don't know what it is about the human nature, but seemingly if we can find somebody to blame, it kind of soothes us a little bit. Well, I know they done it. I know he done it. I know it was her fault. It was his fault. The enemy likes to put those thoughts in our mind. Instead of trying to find a solution for the problem, we try to find a blame for it. Help me. We try to find somebody that will take the blame. And lots of times, it's not the individual. It's the circumstance that we're involved with. And David, being who he was, began to think, my goodness, I've been with these guys, and I'm just putting thoughts here now. I've been with these guys, and I've led them into battle, and we've won war after war. Now they're turning against me. And David, his own self, his family was gone. His 2 wives, his children also was in the midst of that. And he's thinking, what in the world is happening? What is going on? But David remembered one thing. I believe that David remembered God. You see, David had been running from Saul. Saul had been trying to kill him for a long time. He'd been hiding out in the caves and the dens, and no doubt the enemy was putting thoughts in his mind. But I can't keep from believing that David, during this time, began to think about the blessings of the Lord. Began to think about when he was a young boy there at home, and how God led him out, and his father sent him out to take a report on the battlefield, and how that Goliath came out, and how the lion and the bear came out. I can imagine David began to think about the goodness of God and what God has done.